Imagine this for a moment. Love, standing with open hands, not clenched fists, not trembling fear, just open palms, facing the sky. That image sits at the heart of Kahlil Gibran's wisdom, especially when he tells us that love gives nothing but itself, and takes nothing but from itself. And tonight, as you listen, I want you to feel that idea not as poetry alone, but as a living, breathing philosophy for how we love, how we let go, and how we protect our inner balance without hardening our hearts. Gibran never asked us to love by disappearing into another person. He asked us to love like pillars holding up the same roof, standing together yet standing apart. And that single image quietly dismantles so many of our modern myths about romance, sacrifice, and attachment. We're often taught that real love means endurance without limits, staying no matter the cost, giving even when it drains us dry. But philosophy whispers a gentler, stronger truth. Love without boundaries is not devotion, it's erosion. Aristotle once said that virtue lies in the mean, the balanced space between excess and deficiency, and if love is a virtue, then unbounded love is just as harmful as lovelessness. Think of how many hearts have broken, not because love was absent, but because it was poured without measure, without self-respect, without the quiet courage to say, "This is where I end and you begin." Even the Buddha warned that attachment is the root of suffering. Not because love is wrong, but because clinging turns love into possession, and possession suffocates what it claims to protect. John Lennon sang that love is all you need. Yet even he learned that love without self-awareness can become a prison disguised as paradise. And that's why boundaries aren't walls, they're doors with locks you control. When we set boundaries, we are not pushing people away. We are teaching them how to love us without losing ourselves. Carl Jung believed that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate, and nowhere is this truer than in love, where unexamined wounds quietly dictate who we chase, who we tolerate, and who we abandon ourselves for. Gibran understood this deeply when he wrote about letting love flow through you rather than trying to trap it inside you. Because anything trapped eventually turns bitter. Even Maya Angelou, whose voice carried both tenderness and steel, reminded us that love liberates, it doesn't bind, and that, if someone requires your silence, your shrinking, your self-erasure, to stay, then what they want is not love, it's control. Boundaries are the language of self-respect, and balance is the rhythm that keeps love alive over time. Like music that knows when to pause as much as when to rise. Miles Davis once said that it's not the notes you play, it's the notes you don't play, and relationships are the same way. The space you keep, the no you honor, the silence you allow, these shape the harmony far more than constant presence ever could. Even great leaders understood this principle beyond romance. Nelson Mandela spoke about freedom not just as liberation from chains, but as living in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others, and that includes your own freedom within love. When you lose yourself completely for someone else, you are not being noble, you are being absent. And absence cannot sustain intimacy. Gibran's wisdom invites us to trust that love does not need guarding through fear, jealousy, or overgiving, because love that must be chained will eventually rebel. Balance, as the Stoics taught, is power. Marcus Aurelius wrote about standing straight, not being held straight, and in love. Standing straight means choosing connection without surrendering your core. Even inventors like Nikola Tesla, a man obsessed with harmony and energy, believed that everything in the universe works through balance and vibration, and human relationships are no exception. When the energy flows only one way, something eventually burns out. Letting go, then, is not abandonment, it is alignment. It is the quiet decision to trust life enough to release what no longer grows with you. Gibran didn't glorify heartbreak, but he honored its lessons, suggesting that pain carves space in us for deeper joy, and that truth echoes in the words of Rumi, who said, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." When we cling to love that demands we shrink, we close ourselves to that light. When we let go with grace, we create room for something truer. Even modern thinkers like Brené Brown remind us that boundaries are not barriers to connection, but the very structure that makes genuine connection possible. Because vulnerability without boundaries is not courage, it's self-betrayal. Balance teaches us that we can care deeply without carrying what isn't ours, that we can support without rescuing, that we can love without losing our voice. Gibran's love is mature love, the kind that understands seasons, the kind that doesn't beg permanence from what is meant to pass, and the kind that knows that sometimes the most loving act is to release with kindness rather than hold with fear. As you listen, I want you to ask yourself where you may be confusing endurance with love, where you may be offering loyalty at the expense of dignity, and where a gentle boundary could restore balance rather than destroy connection. Remember the words, often attributed to Lao Tzu, that when you let go of who you are, you become who you might be, and that applies not just to the self, but to relationships that are ready to evolve or end. Love is not proven by how much pain you tolerate. It is revealed by how much truth you allow. And truth often arrives dressed as a difficult conversation or a necessary goodbye. Gibran invites us to love bravely, not blindly, to give fully but not foolishly, and to trust that what is truly meant for us will not require our self-destruction as an entry fee. So, as this reflection settles, I'd love to hear from you. Have boundaries ever saved a relationship in your life, or ended one that no longer served you? Do you believe letting go can be an act of love rather than failure? And where do you think balance is most missing in modern relationships today? Share your thoughts in the comments below, because your perspective might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join this growing space where we explore wisdom, philosophy, and the deeper meanings of life and love together. I promise to keep creating thoughtful, engaging videos like this. Conversations that don't rush you, but invite you to think, feel, and grow. Until next time, love deeply, stand firmly, and never forget that balance is not the enemy of love. It is its quiet guardian.